ونبدأ الجلسة الأولى بعنوان دور الذكاء الاصطناعي في تطوير المنظومات التربوية، وأعطي الكلمة لسعادة الدكتور أندرياس سلاشر، مدير دائرة التربية والمهارات، منظمة التعاون الاقتصادي والتنمية الOECD. الرجاء من سعادته الالتزام بالوقت 5 دقائق. شكرا.
Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to be with you here, and I want to thank Ísísco for convening this, but also importantly for your leadership in helping countries in this crisis. Let me just share a few slides with you on the situation. As everybody knows, 1.5 billion people around the world are being impacted, and the one thing they have learned, the students, the parents, the teachers, is that online learning, digital technology in education must work in the future. Clearly, we are not yet prepared for this. Remote learning has been a lifeline of education, but we are seeing that access, use, and also quality of online resources currently are amplifying existing inequalities in education. Artificial intelligence holds the potential to make learning more personalized, more individual, and therefore increase equity in education provision. But currently, we're still seeing the opposite. We also see that accreditation exams are at stake as our systems are not equipped to integrate learning and technology and assessment in the same time. Let me just, the crisis, obviously, school closures have a reason. They have contributed to moderating the spread of the virus, but the contribution of school closures actually has been just, one of many factors in this. But, the first thing that we need if we want to make technology work in education is that students have the space and the technology at home to learn on their own. You can see on the left side, some countries in which you can take that for granted. But also on the right side, look at Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, where you have sizable shares of students who do not even have a quiet place to study on their own in their home. So online learning is not a possibility there. The same is true when you look at access to technology. You can see again on the left side, if you go to Denmark, Slovenia, Norway, every young person has a computer at home to work with this. You go on the right side, you can see, it's a minority of young people who have access to the most basic technology for learning. So there are huge gaps to fill here. But the bigger gaps actually come to the preparedness of teachers. The technology can amplify very good teaching, can, extrapolate from this, but it does not replace poor teaching quality. And what we actually do see is that in many countries, it's just a minority of teachers who have the necessary technical and pedagogical skills to integrate technology into instruction. And I mark here in red the students from privileged backgrounds, and you can see they typically have teachers who are better prepared. But if you come from a disadvantaged background, typically you go in most countries to a school where teachers are even less prepared. So you can see really how technology and its use and the technical and pedagogical skills currently amplify disparities. Now, in a way, we have technology of the 21st century, we have students of the 21st century, we have pedagogy of the 20th century still, and in a way, a schooling infrastructure often from the 19th century. So I think this is where the gap really comes from. Investment in human development, in the capabilities of teachers really must be key when it comes to the deployment of artificial intelligence. And then, of course, you need very, very good online platforms to support learning. And this is something I think Ísísco could make a huge contribution in facilitating global collaboration or collaboration among countries on sharing open online education resources and also technology platforms. At the moment, most of the platforms are localized, most of the platforms are proprietary, most of the platforms are linked to very limited educational content. I think this is a huge opportunity for global collaboration to actually break that and basically establish a kind of open source infrastructure on which schools can do. If you look at this today, again, you go to Singapore, you go to China, you go to Denmark, you can see 9 out of 10 students have access to a good online platform, and that you could see in the crisis. You know, China was able to get 50 million learners online within a month. But you go here to Argentina, to Costa Rica, and you have basically 1 in 5 students with access to an online platform. There's a huge challenge, I think, for countries to work on. Last but not least, you can see even before the crisis, the teachers are still using very traditional classroom management techniques and also teaching strategies, whereas, you know, giving tasks that require students to think critically, having students work in small groups, letting students work and solve complex tasks, present tasks for which there is no obvious solution. They are still very rare, and in the time of artificial intelligence, it's those kinds of 21st century pedagogies that is really, really central. You can see, for example, only about, even in advanced nations, less than 1/3 of teachers are giving students projects that take at least 1 week to complete. So there's a lot more to do on this front to ensure that technology can really come to the forefront. What the OECD is doing, we have been working with countries to develop strategies also for the reopening of schools. We've created a hub of digital solutions and toolkits that is available for countries to use, and we have done that together with the World Bank and other institutions and so on. Of course, we're also part of UNESCO's Global Education Coalition for the COVID response. Very, very briefly, where I do see the importance for policy responses, the first priority really must be to strengthen individual and also systemic resilience. What this crisis has shown is that our education systems are not adaptive, not responsive enough when there is change. And that's true for individuals as well. Students who have not acquired the right learning strategies, the motivation, the willingness to deal with failure, the capacity to take risks, they are struggling in this online environment. The issue of equity in educational opportunity is a huge challenge. The need to strengthen innovation and digitalization in education. And as I said, I think this is a very big opportunity for Iesco to take a leadership role to facilitate the sharing of resources and platforms. And then last but not least, let's face the truth. After this crisis, there's going to be less money available for public spending and less money going to be available for education. And that means we need to think much harder about the question of how to improve value for money. Thank you very much.
Thank you. شكرا جزيلا. انتهت الجلسة الأولى